What's going on, everybody, and welcome back. So in this one, we're working on the Tahoe. Maybe some of you guys have seen it, maybe some of you haven't. This was my brother's truck, and we're trying to take good care of it, keep it in the family and everything. But yeah, this thing, kind of my responsibility since Dad hates working on cars. So I love it, so I'll take care of it. Although he has the knowledge, he doesn't want to do it, which I don't blame him, it's just does it all day for work. So we're just gonna carry on. We're gonna carry on and do what this thing needs. So I think what I'm gonna look at doing right now is taking off all the manifold bolts and the exhaust manifold while this thing's still warm. This thing needs lifters. It's had a lifter tick forever, and we just gotta get it done. We're just gonna, pull the heads off. We're gonna replace the lifters. I think I just want to do both banks. And who knows what we do while we're in there. We'll see what the cam looks like. Might put another stock cam in it. I have my stock cam. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah, just going to get started tonight. Probably won't get too crazy. Just pull some basic things off. And, maybe the intake manifold and things like that. We could just yank all that as a unit with the injectors. And, just like I said, get started on this job here. Because there's a lot of work to do. But I can probably get it done in a week or two. We got to order some parts, so maybe a couple weeks. So I'm gonna get fired up and get going. I'll show you guys what we do. So, like I said, first step, while it's still hot, I'm gonna try to take off the exhaust manifold bolts in the head. See how many we can get. Otherwise, if they all snap, that's no bueno. So yeah, let's tear into this thing. So this side went really well. I originally had 2 snap bolts, and I ended up getting them all out. So I think there's a remaining, let's see, 1, 2, 3 on this side. No, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 that I actually got out. 2 that were already snapped off. Actually, no, I got this front one out here. The rear is snapped off beyond flush down in there. Not sure if you can see that. Well, we'll have to extract that later. You definitely can't see that, but it's down there. And then I think I got this one. So I think I got 5 out on this side. I have 1 extraction to do here. And the bad news is I had 3 snapped on this side already before we started. And I snapped a 4th. So we literally only took 2 bolts out of this side. So this one and that one are out. All the rest of them are snapped. So that's cool. I think that's 4 or 5 snap ones. I don't even know. So we're gonna have to do some extracting on that side. I think we got 6 snap total bolts, which is pretty bad. But what happens is the manifold's probably warped. I'll have to check it. But once one breaks off, it can warp the manifold, and the rest will break off. So I may try to flat sand these manifolds to make sure they seal good and don't blow out the new gasket. So we'll get across that bridge when we get there. But this motor's got 225, so we're just going to try to keep it going. So I got quite a bit of progress done here. Didn't film too much of it, but a couple things to note. The injectors, the clips, these stupid long things coming off of them. Most of them I just broke them off. I have a lot of them over here that I threw on the bench. Basically they look like this. If you just yank this thing right off, you'll be better off. You don't really need them. They're not going to fall off if they're clipped in. It's just like a connector position assurance, make sure it stays clipped. So we disconnected the fuel line. I've got the fuel line all disconnected here. Make sure it didn't spray me. You got to use one of these fuel line disconnect tools. Any hoses here, they're all pretty old and dry rotted, but kind of twist them with some needle nose and they end up coming off, like this PCV hose and this one too off the throttle body. They're a little bit cracked up, but and then I got EVAP line is off of the purge solenoid. All the bolts and the harness is all zip tied. After I unplugged everything, all you got to do is unplug the one big coil harness here, and probably end up pulling some of this accessory drive off. I'll just get the intake out of the way, and maybe we'll pull the valve covers just little by little. I'm just gonna pick away at it. Everything's got to come off of it, so we're just tearing it down, But yeah, I don't know if I might be able to take the cylinder heads off without taking the accessory drive off, but it might be a pain. You know, it's kind of a pain to do. So I may just pull that stuff off just because I don't want to have to take the power steering pump apart if I don't have to. Maybe if I just pull the alternator. I don't know how this style is. I may have to unbolt that because these go into the head, these bolts here. So I don't know. We'll see what I have to do. But yeah, we'll make it work. What are we hitting on? That's the eBay thing. Pain. Oh, that's not what I want to do. That evap one is, man, I really shouldn't have done that way. Put all that fuel everywhere. Whew. That was down. Alright. That's one way to do it. This stupid evap line was in the way. I should have got him out of there a long time ago. Alright, I'm going to try to vacuum out all the crap in there. Got a lot of nuts and other sorts of things. Definitely spilled a little bit of fuel on top of there. But yeah. So that's what's under there. All kinds of nuts. Yeah, you definitely got rodents in here. So we'll clean all that crap out of there. And then, yeah, might not have to pull the valley cover, but I like to clean it up a little bit and make it look nice. It's definitely filthy. So I'll probably do that before we pull the heads. And then that crap goes in there. Alright, so we got the valve covers off. Looks pretty clean, guys. See a little bit of discoloration from maybe lack of oil changes earlier on in this thing's life. We've always done pretty good on the oil changes for it. We'll see how everything else looks once we get in there. Just a little bit of varnish, but I don't see any sludge. You know, I guess what do you expect for 200,000? I think mine was a little cleaner than this, my Avalanche. These are a little bit more discolored, but I don't think that it's bad. I think it's fine. So I'm trying to get the manifolds off. I didn't bring home my 1/2-inch impact with my swivel 15 on the nice long bar, which makes it really easy to get those exhaust bolts. So we're just having to work with what we got here. I'm just going to take apart what I can tonight, and tomorrow I'll come home with the correct tools and we can take the exhaust down and you know, take the manifolds off. I did buy some headers to put on, of course. So I'm just going to rip this apart. I have my stuff all set here. Bank 1, bank 2, and I'm going to stick everything in the styrofoam. And that should hold everything. And we'll make sure we put everything back in the right spot. So as I pull it out one by one, I'm going to stick it into the styrofoam. Hopefully I don't plug the oil holes in the inside of the, what do you call it, push rods. I think we'll be fine. So yeah, I'm going to just keep everything organized because on high mileage stuff, you know, it's been that way for a long time. Those parts have been meshing together, so why change where the rocker meshes with the push rod? It's got a wear pattern, so you should put it back. That's how I figure. Lower mileage stuff is not as important, but I feel like on high mileage stuff, we should probably just try to keep it the way it was. So I'm going to do all that. Push rod, rocker arm stuff. The rocker arms come off as a unit, and the push rods come out after. So I'll pull that stuff off. And not really much further I can go tonight. So I'll probably call it quits pretty soon, but yeah, I'll bring home some more tools tomorrow so we can keep on going on this. So I tore it down one step further. I got the alternator and belt off. All the bolts I took out of this power steering bracket here, so you can kind of tweak it and bend it out of the way a little bit to get the head out. You got to pull these bolts because they run into the head. There's like 3 of them that do. And you can leave all that on. So I already loosened the head bolts on this side. I just went over with my breaker bar and got them loose. I had already gone under and taken the manifolds off. So you can see most of them are actually sticking out. I may actually be able to get vice grips on them. If I can't, it'll be easy to weld a nut on them. So we'll make a video about that later. But yeah, so for now this is going to be tear down. And we'll just keep going with this process and see what we find once we're in there. So I got a little drain pan underneath. I'm going to try to maybe empty it out and put it under this side in case we get some waterfall of coolant coming out of the cylinder head when I pull it off. And yeah, that's that, guys. Took the steam ports off. I think, kind of bust one of these knock sensor connectors, so I may have to look into getting one of those. I think one of the sides is snapped off. Maybe not, I don't know, it may snap on. But the other one I've yet to take off. So I'll probably pull the valley cover, reseal the valley cover like I said, and valve covers and all that good stuff. Now, somebody let me know what you think about the difference, this side being all varnished and this side being all clean. I've been reading that, you can see the difference in the spring colors. I've been reading that this is the fresh side of the PCV system where it sucks in air from the throttle body, and this is the area that it comes out of, and it actually ends up coming out of there and then going into the manifold to get reburned. So it like sucks from this side and pulls the fresh air in here through the throttle body. So that's why this is the dirty, oil contaminated air that comes up with all the crap, and this is the fresh throttle body intake side. Is that the case, or did this have work done, or you know, are we starved for oil on this side? I don't know, it's kind of weird. So I'm interested to see what it looks like underneath there. I got all the 10s loose and all the 15s, so I'm just gonna grab my DeWalt and just run all the bolts out, yank this head off. We'll see what we're working with here. So I got the one cylinder head off on the passenger side. I don't think this is the problem side, but regardless, we're doing lifters on both sides, which I think it needs at this mileage. And since we have an issue with one of them, it would be a shame to tear it down and not do lifters that might fail soon or something like that. So just do all new ones. So this stuff all looks really good, guys. Like, head gasket looks nice. It all came off nice and good. I mean, some of the newer ones I take apart, the head gasket sticks and like it shreds itself. This thing stayed nice. The dowel slid right out of the head. I mean, it's in really good shape, this thing. For $225, you know. Let me just get it in the light here so you can see it, but everything looks really good. Valves look good. I mean, for this kind of mileage, just what you expect. This will clean up with a razor blade. I'll come back and hit all this with a razor and clean the head up. I'll do that later on when we're going to reinstall. Still got a lot of work to do with extraction here. You can see how bad that was leaking here, where the exhaust manifold was leaking, escaping all over the place right there. So it's pretty bad. Got a little mess down here. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just pull the other side, but you can see we got broken, third one that I broke, and then two more that are broke. Actually, no, we got one out, two out. We got these two are out. 1, 2, 3 broken off, like that, and one broken off. We'll say below flush. That guy's deep in there. So I'll still probably weld the washer and then maybe weld a nut to that and extract it. We'll pull the plug on this thing. Yeah, so we'll make, like I said, we'll do a little extraction thing going on with that. So let me get my flashlight. It's right here. So these cylinders look pretty good, guys. I don't know if you can see the crosshatch going on, but they still have some crosshatch for as old as it is. This old an engine. Not a real huge ridge up top, you know. And we've got a little bit of carbon buildup, which is to be expected for 225, but overall, cylinders look really good. You know, you can still see the crosshatch, like I said. Obviously, that's not on the thrust side. If you're looking at this side, you definitely see a little bit of, you know, I wouldn't say that's scoring, but a little bit of wear. You're gonna have that. But like I said, overall looks really good. Definitely just slapping this thing back together with new lifters, and I think the cam's gonna be fine. We'll have to verify that, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull the 10s off, pull the lifter trays out of there, and we'll see what that looks like. All right, so I got the valley cover off. I got a new gasket coming for that. Tried to clean up that surface a little bit. I'll do a little more. I used just a razor blade, so I do at work on the newer stuff. Should work on something this old too, I would assume, since we're not getting it decked. Nobody really does that on these, as far as I know, unless you're really crazy. So hopefully we don't have a problem, but I I just took a razor blade, like I said, and kind of just went over all of the old gasket material and corrosion and everything, and you can see it looks pretty good. It's a lot better than it was. Not perfect, not a machined surface, but I think it's flat enough for the new head gasket to clamp, and there's just no material in the way. If you look at the other side, you can see all the crap that's still on the surface, and we kind of got rid of all that just with a razor blade. So I'll use a new one for this side, and I'll do the same thing with the bottom of the cylinder heads, clean those up with a razor. I'm almost tempted to spray WD on this because it's all cleaned up. I don't want it to rust, and I'll clean it off before I put it on. Not that it even matters. I think it's fine to have oil in it, but yeah, I might just spray a little WD just to make sure this doesn't rust, because I don't know how long it's going to be apart. I have the parts on the way, so don't want it to be too long that it's apart. So I decided to do the extraction in this video too. Yeah, I got one out. This first one I got over here with the vice grips. So I was able to bite this one and get this out using a little bit of propane, like this camping gas here. MAP gas would be a little better. And then this guy, I got the vice grips on him, and I got it loose, and then I couldn't get it all the way out. So I ended up welding a nut on it. So I just worked it back and forth until he came out. So I got first one, second one, and we got this guy who I cleaned up, put a nut on. I'm about to try to weld this nut onto this guy. I cleaned it up a little bit here. So I'm just gonna weld this guy on there, and we'll try to get it off. So I'm gonna put a nice, I'm gonna turn the heat up and just try to get a nice weld on there. And then we'll back this guy out a little bit, little by little, just back and forth, working the threads as we go. And then we'll have to worry about this one last flush guy here, and that'll be the hardest one. So save the hardest for last. And then we got this cylinder head that has one broken off flush one as well right here. So almost done. Got 2 out of 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 2 done out of a bunch left. Anyway. It's 15. It was larger than, oh, okay. Look at that. Already starting to come loose for me, I think. So we'll just keep going, back and forth. They're easy when they're stuck out like that, It's easy to get a weld on it, easy to get a nut on it. One of those things. We'll just go a little bit of WD in there. And just keep going. Back and forth. Try to get a little more on the loosening than you do on the tightening on each pass. Eventually, we'll get there. So much easier on the bench. And that's it, guys. She's free. And that's it. Another one down. Alright, so you saw me get that one out. Those are the easy ones. This one over here, definitely harder. So it did look like this, all gummed up. So basically I just hit it with this wire brush, a little more aggressively than that, and got it cleaned up. And now I'm going to come through and hit this with my Dremel and just try to clean it up a little bit, because it's kind of dull, and we want to make it like shiny metal, and that way the weld will hopefully stick better, penetrate better, and start better too. We can get a nice start right off the bat if it's not all, pitted and corroded. So I'm gonna get a washer, I think, and weld the washer on, and then I'll weld a nut onto the washer, so we can like stack it, have something to turn on. Yeah, I've seen that method. I'm gonna try it. I haven't tried it with this yet, but I think if we could also just put this on here too, you know, and just booger him up. I've done that too. This I feel like would work good too. I don't know. I may just try to put this guy in there. Just send it. It's always worked for me in the past, so let's see if we can make that work. And that's our next method. So, yeah, guys, this just comes with a lot of failed attempts. That's just how this thing is. You can see all these times I welded stuff on here that didn't work. You know, all these guys that did not work. And I ended up using. It kept snapping off. This was one of the last ones that I had here, and it ended up snapping right off. And they kept snapping off inside of there, but I got it a little bit further with each nut. So it was loose after the first one, and I just kept working it, and then I ended up snapping it. But yeah, we didn't really mar the surface up too bad. We got little rings here where some of the nuts were spinning, but it's really no big deal. No worse than any of this rust and corrosion on here. So I'll try to clean this stuff up a little bit, but yeah, I'm happy with the way it came out, and this was our guy. So I had the settings not right on the welder. I couldn't get anything to stick earlier on, and I guess it was because my inductance wasn't high enough. It's supposed to be somewhere from 5 to 10 at this thickness, and I didn't have it there. I had it like a 4 or 5. So that was my bad. I forgot there was a third thing here, this inductance one, and I just don't really know much about how to use this machine yet, so I'm still getting used to it. Gonna have to figure out what a good setting for inductance is, and I guess you just learn as you go. Or I should have just looked at the chart, which I think I'm smarter than the chart, and I'm not. So I got to look at the chart and keep things true. So yeah, we're doing good. I got one more to get. I'll show you guys once I get that one done, and maybe we'll wrap this video up because it's probably getting kind of long. I'm gonna see what kind of footage we got here. So we got the last one, guys. Pretty sweet. Ended up just welding to what was there and just using the actual weld in the vice grips. Honestly, that works really well for me. It's something really good to bite onto. The grips like to hold onto the welds really good. And I don't know, something about a nut. Sometimes you just can't get a nut on there, and it just doesn't like it. It doesn't want to adhere, and it keeps breaking off. But with the vice grips, you have a lot of control, and you can just, you know, basically like this. And I just worked it out like this. You just go a little bit back and forth the whole way, and eventually you'll get it out. So we also had a little bit of help. I had my dad use the propane to heat the cylinder head while I was doing that back and forth. So that way, cylinder head expanded a little bit, and we just create a little bit of temperature differential to get this guy out. And it worked. So all the while spraying a little WD-40, I did actually not light him on fire, but he ended up with a flamethrower because I sprayed the WD on the torch, but we won't talk about that. It's okay. Nobody got hurt. We got it out. We got them all out, so I'm excited. I'm going to try to clean up the surface. I don't know if I'm going to sand it, or I might have a little cookie wheel or something like that and hit this burr here and just... I don't know what all these bang marks are. This is not from me. I don't know if that was the manifold or somebody else tried to get this out before. I'm not really sure what all this is, but whatever. We're good now. I got it all cleaned up, so now we're set to go. I'm just waiting on the rest of our parts here. I'll show you guys the parts. We did get the manifold, exhaust manifold here. Short tube headers. These are MAL exhaust gaskets, and we got BTR head gaskets and some Elgin, what do you call it? Elgin head bolts. We're gonna get new head bolts. I don't want to use the hardware of the gaskets for these headers just because it's not a good idea. And we got a bunch of stuff in here. I'll use these bolts for the lower section, but not for the rest of it. But this thing ought to sound pretty good with these headers, so I'm excited to set it up. I'm gonna get everything cleaned up, and we'll start the reassembly probably in the next video. But this has been the tear down, inspection, and cleaning up of some stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. We're gonna get Jake's old truck back to its former glory. He'd definitely be proud. He'd love to rip this thing, and it definitely deserves to rip, so I'm gonna do some burnouts in his honor. You know, he would have loved it. He's always drifting this thing. You know, for a big Tahoe, you wouldn't think it, but he could swing this thing like pretty good. So yeah, anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Peace.